All right, it is Indian Wells time 2025, and what a great time of the year. We've got the singles draw out, and we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about the quarter of death with Alcaraz and Djokovic in it, and we are going to talk about, yes, the courts. We're going to talk about the court speed. It has changed, and after 25 years, Indian Wells will be looking and playing different from the player's perspective and from the viewer's perspective. So we're going to break down all this, the draw, what players to watch. This is the Indian Wells official preview and prediction by the slice presented by Betway. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you're new here, thanks for smashing the subscribe button. And if you've never watched a preview of a tournament like this before on our channel, welcome. What we do here is we look at the draw. We usually look at the quarterfinals matchups if everyone gets through, just to see where the top seeds are in the draw. And then we will look at each draw, each quarter individually, look at all the players, look at their matchups. And then I'm going to do looking at the players to watch in this tournament based on their recent form. We'll give a prediction, and we'll obviously talk about the court surface changes this year at Indian Wells. This is an ATP preview, so we will try and get a WTA preview out at another time. But thanks for being here. And shout out to Betway. If you're going to bet on the tennis responsibly in a way that you can have fun with, be chill, and not ever message players, but depending on the result, then you can use Betway and join in on the fun. Shout out to them. They have a great app that makes it easy and informative to play. And yeah, let's get into the tennis. I think we should start with the court surface first. So if you haven't heard, if you haven't been on Twitter or you haven't been tuning into the news, for the last 25 years, and just historically, Indian Wells has been known as a hard court. That's probably the slowest on tour. It's gritty and the ball bounces high. So players like Rafa, like Carlos Alcaraz, players who love the natural clay surfaces, tend to do well in Indian Wells because the ball has a lot of action on it off the court and off their racket, obviously. But this year they've changed court surface suppliers from PlexiPave, which was the court company they used forever, to Lakehold, who does Miami Open and the US Open and a bunch of other tournaments. So this will make the courts in Indian Wells faster and lower bouncing and more like the other hard courts on tour. And there's a lot of reactions to that. I'd love to hear your reaction down below. My thought is that it was always cool. It was cool to have two completely different hard court surfaces back to back. It made the Sunshine Double harder to win. It's hard to do well in Indian Wells, higher altitude, ball kicks up higher, it's slower. And then go down to Miami where it's more humid, balls faster through the court, and then win both times. That's really hard to do. Now, the tournament said they're literally trying to make it more homogenous. And as I said on the podcast, which isn't out yet, my theory onto why they did this at Indian Wells is because the balls are slower. Noticeably, everyone's talking about how the balls are fatter, heavier, and slower now on tour. And I think the combo of that and Indian Wells or their historically slow courts, is a bad combo for TV, for the viewership, for the players, for everyone. So I think that's my kind of hunch as to why Indian Wells did this. I have no evidence to back that up. That's just my conspiracy theory. So anyways, we're going to have quicker courts at Indian Wells this year, and we're going to see how that affects the different players. Carlos Alcaraz is the defending champion. He's going for his third Indian Wells in a row. And if he is to do that, he'll be the third player to ever do it behind Roger Federer in 2004 to 2006 and Novak Djokovic 2014 to 2016. This is also the first kind of major tournament where Jannik Sinner's not going to be here. He's serving his ban from WADA that he settled with, and it's unfortunate. It sucks that the world number one is not here, and he would be enjoying the faster services that will be available at Indian Wells, but he's not going to be able to try him out this year because he is, in my opinion, unfairly getting a 3-month ban. But that's how it shakes down. That's the world of sports and the world. You can hear my opinion on it, on lots of other episodes that we've put out. So let's get into the draw. Here's what the quarterfinal on the men's side would look like if everyone got through. Number 1 seed Sasha Zverev on top has number 8 seed Tsitsipas in his quarter. So Zverev and Tsitsipas in the top quarter, then number 4 seed Ruud and number 5 seed Medvedev in the second quarter, then the 7th seed Rublev and the 3rd seed Fritz in the third quarter, and then the quarter of death, the 6th seed Djokovic and the 2nd seed Alcaraz in the same quarter. They could play again for a rematch of their Australian Open quarterfinal. That was a quarterfinal. Yeah, it was a quarterfinal. That went the way of Djokovic. So after not being on the same side of the draw for many tournaments, at the majors especially, Djokovic and Alcaraz are now in the same quarter of Indian Wells. So that's pretty crazy. Let's get deep into these quarters. Okay, so at the top, we've got Zverev, like we said, and Tsitsipas at the bottom. Who else is in that quarter? Ooh, in the Zverev section there, we've got Mpeshi Perricard as the 29th seed. Scary, but he's going to have to go through these guys if he wants to play Zverev, either Marozsan or Martinez. So Mpeshi Perricard and these big 129 player draws. 128 player draws. 128 player draws. Top 32 seeds get a bye. Mahach, who just won in Acapulco, he's also in that 8th with Zverev. Tiafoe's there as well, and Holger Rune, and Kei Nishikori in there. Lots of talent, lots of interesting game styles. Bublik, Kriegspur, who just made the final, I believe, in Dubai, could be Zverev's first match. Tsitsipas has a bye, and then he'll play either Alexandra Mueller, who's been playing well, or Thiago Seyboth Wild. Tsitsipas could play Berrettini, who he played in Dubai. Then on the way to his title, Tsitsipas obviously won in Dubai with the new racket. We all talked about it. Then he could play Humbert or Rune. And then he could play Zverev. So Tsitsipas coming into the tournament hot in the quarter with Zverev. Ruud's quarter, the 4th seed, he has Medvedev in it. Few qualifiers: Marcus Giron, Zizou Bergs, Popper in there in Ruud's quarter. Ruud's like 16th. Fils, Musetti, Tommy Paul, Lehechka, Mikkelsen, and Medvedev are the seeds in that quarter. Wild cards: Bazavarati, Neshesh Bazavarati, Tristan Boyer, Riley Opelka is in there. So 3 wild cards in that quarter, none in the top quarter. So that's an interesting quarter. That's definitely an interesting quarter. 2 guys who, so Ruud, the grittier hardcore surface would help him, I think, with the heaviness of his shot. And then Medvedev, I think, should love this quicker surface in the higher altitude, which should help his serve. So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out for Medvedev, I think. Fritz's quarter here, he's got Rublev, the 7th seed, in it. And he's got, for seeds, Nakashima, 32 seed, Kachanov, Ben Shelton, Jack Draper, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Alejandro Tabilo, and the wild card, Joao Fonseca, could play Draper in the second round. And then Auger-Aliassime, if he gets through Bonzi or Brooksby, could get a rematch with Draper from their contentious ending to Cincinnati last year, or he could play Fonseca, which would be absolutely epic. Lerner Tien there, straight into the draw to play Mario Navone, and then he could play Ben Shelton. Wouldn't that be a great matchup? Ben Shelton versus Lerner Tien. Interesting third quarter there for sure. Taylor Fritz, previous champion here in New Wells, has a nice little start. It looks like there he'll play probably Sebastian Baez or someone else. Tabilo, so he has a decent little first 2 matches at least. Then he gets into some pretty big hitters with either Draper, Fonseca, or Felix Auger-Aliassime. Bottom quarter of death. Alcaraz on the bottom, Djokovic on the top. That's right. Okay, let's go through the seeds. Francisco Cerundolo, Hubert Urkacz, de Minaur, Dimitrov, Korda, and Shapovalov. Folks, that is the quarter of death. That is crazy. And who else to throw into the mix? A protected ranking, Nicholas Kyrgios of Australia could play Novak Djokovic in the second round. Djokovic's first match of the tournament could be against Nick Kyrgios if he is to get through a qualifier. I personally hope that it is Alexis Galarneau, Canadian, shout out, who's boosted his ranking up, playing some great tennis, and he just beat Arthur Cazot in the first round of qualifying. So if he was able to get through to play Nick Kyrgios, that would be such a meme and so funny. Short guy from Canada, big heart, Alexis Galarneau to play the Joker, Nick Kyrgios, that would be amazing. Okay. Who else is in here? David Goffin, the guy who was trolling Ben Shelton as he took out the W. Demon Hours in the Djokovic quarter or eighth. And Dimitrov's in the Alcaraz eighth. Shapovalov could play Alcaraz in the third round there. And honestly, on these quicker courts, that is a scary matchup for Alcaraz if you're asking me. That's a scary matchup for Alcaraz if you're asking me, because these are fast. This is going to be a fast tournament. How fast, we'll have to wait and see. But Alcaraz, it's outdoor, so that's good for him because he likes to use the elements and he's comfortable in them. But we're going to see how the speed affects him. So I think list of players to watch, I'm going to put Alcaraz up there. How is he going to handle these quicker courts as he feels maybe the pressure also to defend his tournament? He's won it 2 years in a row, and try and build his ranking back up to get back to number one really well. He has an opportunity here of Sinner dropping all the points he got from last year in this time. Other players to watch, Stefanos Tsitsipas. Yeah, that's the guy who won the tournament in Dubai last week with a new racket, new confidence because of that racket. Really, that's the main thing. It's just more confidence. I think he's got more pop behind that game. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see on the quicker courts how he can first serve, big forehand it, hide his weaknesses, play great tennis. How is he going to show the world where he's at? I love the revenge tour that he's on, as well as Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime. All three players who people were dunking on, writing off because they were in a maybe downward trajectory at different points in their career. They're turning around. February is the month they turn it around. Another guy you want to watch, Shapovalov. Yeah, he won in Dallas. He made the semifinals in Acapulco, and he's playing great tennis, great composed tennis. And Indian Wells on a quicker surface is a place where he should be able to do good. And he's in that Alcaraz section of the draw, so he could play him in the third round. That could be crazy. Shapovalov has a bye, has worked his way in so quickly to being a seeded player at these tournaments. He's got a bye, and then he'll play a qualifier. So he's in a good spot there, and he'll have a huge test against Alcaraz, obviously. Other player to watch, Felix Auger-Aliassime. He has done great. He's won 2 ATP 250s. He just made the final Dubai, lost in a tight match to Stefanos Tsitsipas, and made the semifinals in Doha the week before that. So he's playing great. He's healthy. He's feeling aggressive out there. He's playing confidently. He's said he's finding within himself lots of ways to win these matches. He's playing a lot of 3-set matches right now and finding ways to win. So that's a good sign. If you're Felix Auger-Aliassime, I'd watch him in this draw. Where is he in the draw again? He's kind of in an interesting part. So he's in the third quarter. He's got, I would say, he could play Draper or Fonseca in the third round. No easy draws, but he's in the Fritz quarter. So, he can beat anyone in that quarter, and then he's on the bottom half of the draw. So not a terrible draw for Felix Auger-Aliassime. I would watch him as well. I'll put him on my list to watch. And then next, that would be Medvedev. Medvedev's had a poor run of form here, but these quicker surfaces are going to help him. And JP on the podcast, which will come out tomorrow, rightfully said that is hilarious because this is the tournament where he had meltdowns in the past saying how much he does not like the surface, and he's a hardcourt specialist and he knows what a hardcourt should be like, and this is not it in Indian Wells. Well, maybe he'll like it now. So this should help his serve. Again, the big serve, the thinner air elevation. It's not a ton of elevation, but it's still not sea level. And we'll see how he can do with his serve. And I think that, these conditions might help him play well, stay under the radar. We'll see where he gets to. He's in the Casper Ruud quarter. He's got a decent quarter, but really it's a Masters 1000. And even with these bigger draw formats, it's still it's not easy to go through these rounds either. So those are my players to watch on the men's side of the draw. Prediction time. I mean, it's it's really impossible. It was a lot easier when Jannik Sinner was here, and he was in such insane form. You'd kind of just say, I expect him to win every hard court tournament. And then especially with one like this where the courts have changed and now they're faster. But if I had to pick someone from the start, I think it would still be Carlos Alcaraz. You get mojo when you've won in a place, and even with the court speeds changing, we'll see. We'll see. It's still going to look the same, feel the same in a lot of ways. But yeah, the courts are going to be different. But he's won lots of tennis matches on hard courts that are fast. So out of anyone there that's mentally tough, fit, young, in their prime, I would roll with Carlos Alcaraz to get the 3-peat. But what would you do? Let me know your thoughts on this draw down below. Let me know your thoughts on the court speed changes down below. And we will see you next time here on The Slice. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Take care.